Today I have something exciting for you. In my last video, I showed you how to automate YouTube video summaries using a mix of no-code and coding solutions. And if you missed it, make sure to check it out. But what if I told you that you could achieve the same result without creating your own APIs? That's right. In this video, I will show you how to transcribe YouTube videos using only no-code solutions. We all know how time-consuming it can be to keep up with the latest industry news on YouTube, and you probably spend hours watching videos only to remember a small piece of advice. This can be incredibly frustrating and inefficient. That was my exact problem, and today I want to show you how to solve it using a fully no-code approach. Today, we'll be using powerful no-code tools like make.com and active pieces to create a seamless automation that saves your time and effort. And Assembly AI will help us with the video transcriptions. Let's get started. Here is our database. I store a link to a YouTube video right here. Then I also add a channel manually, and our automation today will populate this transcript STT column. If you have watched my previous video, then you know how this transcript API works and how it uses unofficial YouTube's API to transcribe a video. My goal today is to show you how to use another option, and we will also compare which transcript is better. So let's start our automation on this video. Now we will go to the automation. This route at the bottom is the one which is responsible for calling a traditional YouTube API, and the one at the top is the one which we will be building today, but this is only a part of an automation. Now let's run it once. Our record was found and the first automation has already started. The top route, the bottom route is still in progress. It will take some time, but actually the first route will also take some time, and we will see the results in somewhere around 2 minutes or so. And now we have both transcripts inside our database. Let's compare them and see which one is better. I found this online text comparison tool. The text you see on the left is the one created with the YouTube transcription API, and the text is on the right is the one which is created by the automation I'm going to show you in this video. If you'll take a closer look, you'll notice that the transcription on the right is a little bit more accurate. Well, it didn't do well with names, but overall, for example, here like CEO, it was able to pick up this CEO, while the first transcription did not do it. Anyway, both of those methods can be used in one or another case, and the second method, which I'm showing you today, is more robust, and I would recommend using it in professional settings. We are back inside our make automation. As I mentioned, the route at the bottom is the one which transcribes YouTube videos with API. Today we don't need it. I just wanted to show you the comparison between those two methods. So let's edit it. I can remove all those 3 blocks, and we don't need a router. This is how this automation will look for you. It consists of only 3 modules. Basically, we pick data from our database. From our Airtable, we find records which have not been transcribed yet. Before we start the process, we also need to have a JSON block to basically create a JSON body and send this request. But let's do it step by step. When you start building this automation, you will click on a new module and you will add your Airtable. In this case, I do search records. And when you add it for the first time, okay, I have to connect it. When you add it for the first time, you will be prompted to enter a connection to your database. Just enter it, and then we pick a base. Then we pick a table. In my case, this is YouTube videos. And then I need a link and a channel. I actually don't need channel, I need only link, but let's add channel as well. And We don't need any formula. Limit 10 is fine for this use case. And if you run this module only, you will see that it picks all the records from only 10 records from our database. For the purpose of this video, I just select first 20 rows, and then I filter only those which have no transcription yet. If I click here, you will see this filter. How you set up this filter? You click on any connection and then you enter those fields. Let's take a look at our filter. In this case, I enter a condition that transcript, our column, transcript STT, which is this one, if this has no value. In this case, we check for empty string. It is right here inside text. Yes, it is here. Empty string. This is how you pick it. If you leave this field blank, then it will not work. You have to add this special keyword from keywords of make.com. Then you click OK, and only records which have not been transcribed will be passed through this filter. Then we add a new JSON block. We needed to send an API call. In this case, we need a link of our video, obviously, because we want to transcribe it. And second, what we need is ID of this record. Why do we need it? We need it because we want, after getting transcription from our service, we want to save this record. So we need to know which record ID it had in order to update this field. We obviously can search it by link, but it is a more robust approach to use ID. And then we send a request for transcription. I created a diagram here to explain it a little bit better, how it works. So we start from an Airtable, and there we store a YouTube video URL. But then we have a problem. We need to extract audio from our video. Unfortunately, this cannot be done in make.com. We can extract audio URL with a little bit of code, but make.com natively does not support running code there. And for that reason, when I face those cases, I use another platform called Active Pieces. Active Pieces allows us to run code, and it also allows to add some packages which we need for future transcription. And in this case, we start this automation in make.com. Obviously, you don't need to start it there. You can start it in Active Pieces as well, but on the other hand, make.com has better integration capabilities with Airtable than Active Pieces. And for that reason, I use a combination of make.com and Active Pieces. Then we have one automation in Active Pieces which extracts the audio and it requests transcription. Then we have another automation inside Active Pieces. It gets transcription when it's ready and saves this transcript into our database. I hope it is clear for now. I want to show you one more thing. Let's imagine we want to make everything inside make.com. And let's run this module one more time. What we get a link to our video. Then we have a problem. We need to extract audio from it. And there is no way to do it. But we will be using another tool called Assembly AI. Make.com has native integration with Assembly AI, but there are only two options. First one is to upload a file, and we don't have a file at this point. And the other option is to transcribe an audio, but it requires an audio URL. And if you pass your YouTube URL here, it will not work, unfortunately. We need to find a way to extract that audio and then send the transcription to Assembly AI. Okay, I remove this module. Now we move to Active Pieces. This is active pieces. If you have never used it before, don't worry. It is very straightforward. It is not more complicated than make.com. Moreover, it is an open source platform and it has more favorable pricing, and you also can host it on your own server and keep your data private. I use it for some of my automations as well. And when you are here, how you start in your automation, there is a new flow button. You start one from scratch. Now our goal is to create a service which will extract the audio and request a transcription. How we do it? We need to use a webhook. Webhook will serve as an endpoint for our make automation, and we will specify it here. We need to call a URL, and this URL is the one from here. If we select catch webhook, we will have two URLs. One is live and one is test. The only difference is that the second one ends with this test, and the first one is actually the one that we need to call from our make.com scenario. This is a post method, and we want to pass all those parameters which we specified, link and ID, right? This is what we will be expecting at this address. I have already created another one, but when you start, you add this webhook, and then we want to add a block of code. If you type code here, you can add this code. It allows you to pass parameters here, and then you can also write your code here. And one good thing about active pieces is that you can add npm packages. So we are not limited to only libraries which are available here and which have native integration with active pieces. We can add any package which we want. And this is how your code block should look. So we will pass our URL, which we get from our webhook, and record ID. They come from the body of our webhook. And then we want to write a piece of code. I have found a library which is called this YouTube API. How you add this package, you add npm package and you paste that name here. You click add. I have already added it. It is here. You also need to add assembly AI npm package right there. It is a tiny piece of code. I will link it down in the description below. What it does is that it takes our URL, then it uses a library to extract the audio from that library. After it finds the URL for the audio, we call assembly AI and we basically pass our link to assembly AI. We could have done it in only one step and request assembly AI to process the data. Let me quickly go to Assembly AI and explain to you what it does. Assembly AI provides a lot of APIs and capabilities for audio transcription and different audio manipulation. You can use Assembly AI for free for this use case. Once you register on their website, you will be given $50 in free credits. This is enough to transcribe up to 400 minutes of video. I believe this will be enough for you to at least follow this tutorial. And you will also see how to use this library. They basically show that you need to provide your file URL and then call simply 2 lines of code, one function to initiate a transcriber and transcribe the file. But if we do it on a file which is longer than 10 minutes, then it will take quite some time to transcribe. And as many other platforms, low-code platforms, Active Pieces has a limit on how long it can run an operation because it consumes some server time, and they don't allow you to have a long running operation. And for that reason, we want to use another approach. Assembly AI also has documentation, and they also have one method for notifying us when a transcription is ready. So they have their own webhook for this. This is a pretty straightforward way to call their API. You specify your API key, you specify audio URL, and then you set a webhook. And once the transcription is ready, then you will get a request on this webhook address, which you set before. And then it is ready. This is exactly what I do right here. So I have my config, I specify the audio URL, and I create a webhook URL. In order to get it, you need to create another automation. So we will be creating now this one, this block. I called this one YouTube's transcriber part 2. And it starts absolutely the same. It catches a webhook. I copied this live URL from this webhook to this webhook URL. And I also added a record ID. Remember, we want to update our database with the transcript after we get this transcript. And we pass our record ID inside our make automation. Here in JSON, we have this ID, and we pass it as a record ID right here. And because we only update the record in the last automation, in the last piece here, we need to pass it from this piece to this one. And we do it by adding this record ID to the URL, to the webhook. When you first create it, then you would usually click on test button here or retest here in my case, and you copy this test URL. Let's go back to make.com and paste our test URL here. Then I click OK and I run this module only. Let's do, I think it remembered my URL. Okay, let's do this. And now we have received the data on this webhook, the header, the body with the URL, and I forgot to pass our record ID. But anyway, you've got the point how to test it. After the first step, you add your URL here and your record ID. You will be given access to this webhook, body, URL, and you basically insert it. So it's not harder to do than in Make. And then for code, I copied the webhook from another automation here. And you also can see what is happening here inside console if you use console. And I basically return here transcript ID, but it doesn't matter because we have no other blocks after this one. And now let's get to the last piece of this automation webhook. After Assembly AI processes our audio, it sends the request to this webhook. We then can catch this request. Then you can go to runs and you will see the list of all the runs of this automation. You can click on the one which you have received and you will be given the body. So you can basically test this API with exactly this body. Or if you go to the first module, to the edit flow and first module, you'll be able to pick the data which you have received. So this one, in my case, is the last one, and I can use it instead of manually triggering it. And what we do next, we basically check the transcription was created successfully, that the status of this transcription is completed. And this completed comes from the body. Again, our query parameters are still here. We have record ID from the previous automation from this one. And after we verify that this transcript was completed successfully, then we need to run one more piece of code. Why? Because we want to get the transcript. And in order to get the transcript, we need to add, again, npm package assembly AI. I already have it here. Then we simply initialize the assembly AI client, and we get transcript from the client with this specific transcript ID from our inputs. So we get this transcript and we get text from it. That is all that we need. Obviously, after that, we want to upgrade our record. Luckily, Active Pieces has integration with Airtable, so you don't need to write code for it. You add update Airtable record. Then again, I select all those tables and base what I had inside make.com. They are very similar. Then I add the result from the previous block to this speech to text field from our database. This is the whole automation consisting of 3 small pieces. And the most complicated part was probably to write code inside those blocks. It is not so much of a problem with code documentation from assembly AI. And then, yeah, one more complicated piece is just combine it all together. I will link all those blueprints down below, so you can reuse them and transcribe your videos as well. Of course, if you have access to an audio, a URL of an audio, then you can make everything inside make.com and use native assembly AI integration, as I have shown you here. You will upload a file or transcribe an audio file, and you will get everything here without any need to switch to another low-code solution. Thank you for watching. If you have any ideas about future videos, what you want to see, then let me know in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching my videos.